Well, it's the middle of the weekend, at least it is for me. And for now, yep, the rain has stopped, sun has come out, and temperature is pretty reasonable, I think. It's 82 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty decent. Somewhere around about, I don't know, 29 Celsius, which is pretty good. Today's reading should give a lot of us pause for thought, especially the ones of us who, well, I'll just read it and then you can make your own judgment. How's that? Drive versus motivation. Just do your job and let go. And that's from the Tao Te Ching, which is, of course, famous Chinese wisdom from way back when. Ernest Holmes simply says, nothing emanates from my consciousness other than that which blesses, builds, and heals. And that's from Creative Ideas on page 155. And this is, once again, from Reverend Josh Reeves. My friend Randy Ferguson shared something powerful with me about the difference between drive and motivation. He shared that for him, being driven was ego-inspired. Drive is the competitive spirit. It is that part of us that wants to succeed and prove wrong any naysayers. Motivation, however, is the excitement to share knowledge, space, talent, and time in service to a cause greater than ourselves. He says that distinction brought a change to my heart and helped me multiple times when I felt over anxious about giving a talk, or when wondering who I think I am to write a book or teach a class. The answer, who cares? I'm excited to share what I get to share, participate in what I get to participate in, connect at the level with which I connect to others. There's no doubt I'm a driven person, and I will continue to be so. But it can prove exhausting. From now on, I will seek to be less driven and more motivated. This is more true to who I really am, more meaningful, and a whole lot more fun. In the movie Chariots of Fire, runner Eric Liddell says, I believe God made me for a purpose, also made me fast, and when I run, I feel God's pleasure. What do you do that inspires the pleasurous spirit within you? Keep doing just that. It's kind of an odd time to talk about this. Well, I think it is, because the Olympic Games has just started. So the question in my mind was, well, are all these athletes who are competing in that driven, or are they motivated? And I've not come up with a complete answer, except I remember somebody once saying that the best athletes compete against themselves and not their competitors. Is that true? I don't know. I'd never been an Olympic athlete, although there was a young lady just won a bronze medal, no, a silver medal, sorry, who comes from this part of the world. And maybe we could ask her. So the answer is, I don't know. And I'm honestly, although I've already read this and I'm still thinking about it, I'm not 100% sure if there's a clear distinction between being motivated and being driven. Somebody once told me that motivation was an acronym for motive for action. So maybe that's the best way to look at it. What's my motive behind doing this, as opposed to just getting on with it and doing it? I don't know, but I think, to me, that's the whole purpose. Why do I teach classes? Well, I like doing it. Do I think about, am I going to succeed or not? Yes, obviously I do. But maybe right now, after reading this, I'll think less about that side of it. I do it for two reasons, really. Three. I like getting up in front of people, whether it's on Zoom or ideally in a real, how do you say it? I was going to say a real life environment, but Zoom is real life, isn't it? In an environment where the people are physically present in the room with me. I like doing that. I also like to impart knowledge. I like to help people to learn. And also at the same time, I like to learn myself, because every single time I teach a class, whatever it is, I'm going to learn something. For instance, when I teach world religions, if there happens to be somebody in the room or on Zoom who knows some more about a subject than I do, I think that's good because it helps me to learn. If somebody has a different viewpoint, for instance, I know it was the last time I was teaching world religions or the time before. I teach it usually twice a year at our local community college. There was somebody who had a different experience of Zoroastrianism than I was teaching, and that was fine because I had explained to people I only teach one kind. There's lots of different ways of looking at Zoroastrianism. The one I teach is from way back when. It's not the current model. It's a little bit different from it. But then when she was talking about her experience of it, it gave me new insights. When I've had people up there who were Jewish or Hindu, and their experience has been different than what I've been taught, then fine, I've really learned something. So, but I'm still wrestling with this idea of drive versus motivation. I don't think, honestly, in my own mind, that there's a totally clear distinction. I think that idea of motive for action is a good one. And I think with Olympic athletes, I think there's a bit of both. I think they're motivated because they want to prove to themselves they can do something. When we were rock climbing, especially when we were doing difficult climbs, they're graded from real easy to extreme. There's about 6 levels, I think. And when we were doing some of the more difficult levels, we weren't competing against anybody else. We were competing against the rock face and also against ourselves to prove that we could do it. So if we're good at one level and then we're advancing to another, then we're competing against ourselves. I think that's pretty cut and dried. But in a lot of areas of life, I don't think it is so cut and dried. So I think there's a little bit of both in each one. And, the ego is always getting knocked. This thing about edging got out and so on, ego. No, somebody said the other day, there is a reason why we have an ego. It's so that we can exist in this environment, so that we can know the difference between myself and a tree and myself and another human being, that I can make that distinction. So the ego is necessary. So what do you think? Do you think it's 100% what Reverend Josh Reese was saying? Do you think it's a bit of both? What do you think? I don't know the answer, to be honest, because I think it's a bit of both. I think it's the motivation behind what you do is the most important thing. What's my motive for doing this? And you can have multiple motives behind doing one thing, right? Reverend Lisa will be on tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I will be back tomorrow evening, somewhere around about 5 o'clock, somewhere around about this time. And of course, we have our service tomorrow at 11 a.m. Reverend Jesse will be speaking. He will be wrapping up on the series, which is technically about Henry David Thoreau. I almost said Ralph Waldo Emerson because he talks about him a lot. Henry David Thoreau. So we'll have to see what he comes up with there. So until then, take care. Be kind to yourselves. Maybe that's your goal for the next 24 hours. Be kind to yourself. Whatever you do, whether you screw up, you do something good, whatever it is, be kind to yourself. And of course, naturally, be kind to others. What's the affirmation? It's a long one. Today, I am motivated to be an expression of spirit in all I do. No pressure, just the organic joy of being one with my source. Today, I am motivated to be an expression of spirit in all I do. No pressure, just the organic feeling of being one with spirit. So, until next time, as I said, take care of yourselves, take care of others, stay safe, stay well. Namaste.